Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, Chapter 14, How to Get That Winning Feeling. How your brain Number 3. How your brain records success and failure. Such experts in the field of brain physiology as Dr. John C. Eccles and Sir Charles Sherrington tell us that the human cortex is composed of some 10 billion neurons, each with numerous axons, feelers or extension wires, which form synapses, electrical connections between the neurons. When we think, remember, or imagine, these neurons discharge an electrical current which can be measured. When we learn something or experience something, a pattern of neurons form a chain, or tattooing of a pattern is set up in brain tissue. This pattern is not in the nature of physical groove or track, but more in the nature of an electrical track, the arrangement and electrical connections between various neurons being somewhat similar to a magnetic pattern recorded on tape. The same neuron may thus be a part of any number of separate and distinct patterns, making the human brain's capacity to learn and remember almost limitless. These patterns, or engrams, are stored away in brain tissue for future use and are reactivated or replayed whenever we remember a past experience. Dr. Eccles says, the profusion of interconnections among the cells of the gray matter is beyond all imagination. It is ultimately so comprehensive that the whole cortex can be thought of as one great unit of integrated activity. If we now persist in regarding the brain as a machine, then we must say that it is by far the most complicated machine in existence. We are tempted to say that it is infinitely more complicated than the most complex man-made machines, the electrical computers. Physiology of Imagination, Scientific American, September 1958. In short, science confirms that there is a tattooing or action pattern of engrams in your brain for every successful action you have ever performed in the past. And if you can somehow furnish the spark to bring that action pattern into life or replay it, it will execute itself. And all you have to do is, quote unquote, swing the clubs or let nature take its course. When you reactivate successful action patterns out of the past, you also reactivate the feeling tone or winning feeling which accompanied them. By the same token, if you can recapture that winning feeling, you also evoke all the winning actions that accompanied it. Building successful patterns into your gray matter. President Eliot of Harvard once made a speech on what he called the habit of success. Many failures in elementary schools, he said, were due to the fact that students were not given, at the very beginning, a sufficient amount of work at which they could succeed, thus never had an opportunity to develop the atmosphere of success, or what he called the winning feeling. The student, he said, who had never experienced success early in his school life had no chance to develop the habit of success, the habitual feeling of faith and confidence in undertaking new work. He urged that teachers arrange work in the early grades so as to ensure that the student experienced success. The work should be well within the ability of the student, yet interesting enough to arouse the enthusiasm and imagination and motivation. These small successes, said Dr. Eliot, would give the student the feel of success, which would be a valuable ally in future undertakings. We can acquire the habit of success. We can build into our gray matter patterns and feelings of success at any time and at any age by following Dr. Eliot's advice to teachers. If we are habitually frustrated by failure, we are very apt to acquire habitual feelings of failure, which color all new undertakings. But by arranging things so that we can succeed in little things, we can build an atmosphere of success which will carry over into larger undertakings. We can gradually undertake more difficult tasks, and after succeeding in them, be in a position to undertake something even more challenging. Success is literally built upon success, and there is much truth in this saying. Nothing succeeds like success. Gradualness is the secret. Weightlifters start with weights they can lift and gradually increase the weights over a period of time. Good fight managers start a new boxer off with easy opponents and gradually pit him against more experienced fighters. We can apply the same general principles to almost any field of endeavor. The principle is merely to start with an opponent over which you can succeed and gradually take on more and more difficult tasks. Pavlov, on his deathbed, was asked to give one last bit of advice to his students on how to succeed. His answer was passion and gradualness. Even in those areas which we have already developed a high degree of skill, it can sometimes help to drop back, lower our sights a bit, and practice with a feeling of ease. This is especially true when one reaches a sticking point in progress, where effort for additional progress is unavailing. Continually straining to go beyond the sticking point is likely to develop an undesirable feeling habits of strain, difficulty, effort. Under such conditions, weightlifters reduce the amount of weight on the bar and practice easy lifting for a while. A boxer who shows signs of going stale is pitted against a number of easier opponents. Albert Tangora, for many years the world champion speed typist, used to practice typing slow, at half normal speed whenever he reached a plateau, where further increase in speed seemed impossible. I know a prominent salesman who used the same principle to get himself out of a sales slump. He stopped trying to make big sales, stops trying to sell tough customers, and concentrates on making small sales to customers he has come to know as pushovers. How to play back into your own built-in success patterns. Everyone has at some time or another been successful in the past. He does not have to have been a big success. It might have been something as unimportant as standing up to the school bully and beating him, winning a race in grammar school, winning the sack race at the office picnic, winning out over a teenage rival, or for the affections of a girlfriend. Or it might be the memory of a successful sale, your most successful business deal, or winning first prize for the best cake at the county fair. What you succeed in is not so important as the feeling of success which attended it. All that is needed is some experience where you succeeded in doing what you wanted to, in achieving what you set out to achieve, and something that brought you back some feeling of satisfaction. Go back in memory and relive those successful experiences. Imagine in your imagination. Revive the entire picture in as much detail as you can. In your mind's eye, see not only speech, business deal, golf tournament, or whatever that accompanied your success. What sounds were there? What about your environment? What else was happening around you at the time? What objects were present? What time of the year was it? Were you cold or hot? And so forth. The more detailed you make it, the better. If you can remember in sufficient detail just what happened when you were successful at some time in the past, you will find yourself feeling just as you felt then. Try to particularly remember your feelings at the time. If you can remember your feelings from the past, they will be reactivated in the present. You will find yourself feeling self-confident because self-confidence is built upon memories of past successes. Now, after arousing this general feeling of success, give your thoughts to the important sale, conference, speech, business deal, golf tournament, or whatever that you wish to succeed in now. Use your creative imagination to picture to yourself just how you would succeed and just how you would feel as you already had succeeded. Positive and constructive worry. Mentally begin to play with the idea of complete and inevitable success. Don't force yourself. Don't attempt to coerce your mind. Don't try to use effort or willpower to bring about the desired conviction. Just do what you do when you worry. Only worry about a positive goal and a desirable outcome rather than a negative goal and an undesirable outcome. Don't begin by trying to force yourself to have absolute faith in the desired success. This is too big a bite for you to mentally digest. At first, use gradualness. Begin to think about the desired end result as you do when you attempt about the future, to worry about the future. When you worry, you do not attempt to convince yourself that the outcome will be undesirable. Instead, you begin gradually. You usually begin with a suppose. Just suppose such and such a thing happens, you say to yourself mentally. You repeat this idea over and over to yourself. You play with it. Next comes the idea of possibility. Well, after all, you say such a thing is possible. It could happen. Next comes mental imagery. You begin to picture yourself all the various negative possibilities. You play these imaginative pictures over and over to yourself, adding small details and refinements. As the pictures become more and more real to you, appropriate feelings begin to manifest themselves, just as the imagined outcome had already happened. And this is the way fear and anxiety develop. How to cultivate faith and courage. Faith and courage are developed in exactly the same way, only your goals are different. If you're going to spend time in worry, why not worry constructively? Begin by outlining and defining yourself the most desirable possible outcome. Begin with your suppose. Suppose the next possible outcome did actually come about. Next, remind yourself that, after all, this could happen. Not that it will happen at this stage, but only that it could. Remind yourself that after all, such a good and desirable outcome is possible. You can mentally accept and digest these gradual doses of optimism and faith. After having thought of the desired end result as a definite possibility, begin to imagine what the desirable outcome would be like. Go over these mental pictures and delineate details and refinements. Play them over and over to yourself. As your mental images become more detailed, as they are repeated over and over again, you will find that once more appropriate feelings are beginning to manifest themselves, just as the favorable outcomes had already happened. This time the appropriate feelings will be those of faith, self-confidence, courage, all wrapped up into one package, that winning feeling. Don't take counsel of your fears. General George Patton, the hell for leather, old blood and gut general of World War II fame, was once asked if he had ever experienced fear before battle. Yes, he said, he often experienced fear just before an important engagement and sometimes during a battle. But, he added, I'll never take counsel of my fears. If you do experience negative failure feelings, fear and anxiety before an important undertaking, as everyone does from time to time, it should not be taken as a sure sign that you will fail. It all depends on how you would react to them, and what attitude you take to them. If you listen to them, obey them, and take counsel, of course, of them, then you will probably perform badly. But this need not be true. First of all, it is important to understand that failure feelings, fear, anxiety, lack of self-confidence, do not spring from some heavenly oracle. They are not written in the stars. They are not holy gospel. Nor are they intimations of a set and decided fate, which means that failure is decreed and decided. They originate from your own mind. They are indicative only of attitudes of mind within you, not of external facts which are rigged against you. They mean only that you are underestimating your own abilities, overestimating and exaggerating the nature of the difficulty before you, and that you are reactivating memories of past failures rather than memories of past successes. That is all that they mean, and all that they signify. They do not pertain to or represent the truth concerning future events, but only your mental attitude about the future event. Knowing this, you are free to accept or reject these negative feelings, to obey them and to take counsel of them, or to ignore their advice and go ahead. Moreover, you are in a position to use them for your own benefit.